let me add a little bit of spice.
So people are beloved, right? Shaykh Asrar. I want to share a little of his lecture. He did a lecture on cannabis, marijuana, just naturally saying it's haram, but let's go through a bit of it and then speaking about DMT as well. And as you can
Now,
imagine,
some people quote the statement of Imam Abu Hanifa to validate a deviant interpretation. They say Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala permitted nabidh in small amounts.
Right, so pause there, my beloved. Pause. So, what is yaar? Ho kya raha hai? Ow. Right, so if let me just check a little stunt whilst I'm doing this. If I was to do this and then do this and then bring this back, would it be where I left it? Let me see. You're teasing me, huh? It is. Wah! Wah! I've clocked this now. I'm really enjoying this now. So, beloved is speaking Shaykh Asrar. And what he's speaking about is, for those of you that don't know, he's speaking about drugs, and he wants to speak about intoxication, and he wants to speak eventually about DMT. So he begins by speaking about Imam Abu Hanifa. Why Imam Abu Hanifa? Because things are attributed to Imam Abu Hanifa regarding Nabid. But what is our beloved going to say? So let's see, people. Right, so he begins with this quote.
The statement of Imam Abu Hanifa to validate a deviant interpretation. They say Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala permitted nabidh in small amounts as long as it does not intoxicate. Therefore, they say in drinks that are intoxicants other than wine can be taken in small amounts. The answer is that firstly, the fatwa is not given according to that statement in the school.
So firstly, the fatwa is not given. Secondly, Sheikh,
as is elaborated upon.
Yep, I did. Oh, yeah, I did bring. Where did I put? Oh, people. This is relax. This is a vitamin. Let's see. I brought this. Let's see it.
In Raddul Muhtar and other works. But the statement of Imam Abu Hanifa should be taken in its true context. What is that true context? I mentioned elsewhere that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala was mentioning this in terms of medicinal use with regard to nabidh. And people said that I have said this without reference, but there are references for this. For quick citation purposes, I'll draw your attention to what is written in I'lamul Anam, the amazing work of Shaykh Nuruddin Itr, rahimahullah ta'ala,
recent.
in volume 4. For taking cannabis falls under iskar.
So, un momentico. I'm going to come back to that. So, beloved, I said that these people are using Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa. One of our teachers used to say it like that. So he's saying people are quoting Imam Abu Hanifa from misquoting. Misquote. Un momento. ¿Qué es eso? كتاب الآثار. لمن هذا الكتاب يا شيخ؟ Oh, Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani. Ah, the student of Imam Abu Hanifa. Acha. What did he say? What's he saying? Let's see. Babun Nabidh al-Shadid. I'm not making this up. Babun Nabidh al-Shadid. Strong Nabidh. Muhammad قال أخبرنا أبو حنيفة عن حماد. He mentions a story. He says, Hammad says, قال كنت أتقي النبيذ. I used to be wary of drinking nabidh. فدخلت على إبراهيم, right? Ibrahim al-Nakha'i. وهو يطعم, and he's having it as part of food. He's having food. فطعمت معه, so I began eating with him. فأوتي قدحا من نبيذ. He was brought a jug of nabidh. فلما رأى إبطائي عنه قال, when he saw I was kind of not really taking it, he said to me, Alqama told me from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud that كان ربما طعم عنده ثم دعا بنبيذ له, and then he mentions تنبذه سيرين ولد عبد الله فشرب وسقاني. So he mentions that Ibrahim tells him this story. So he's going from his teachers that when they would go to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he would bring nabidh and give it to him. Huh? Medication. Let's go on. قال محمد وبه نأخذ وهو قول أبي حنيفة. This is what we take, and it is the position of Abu Hanifa. Right, now what about the next one? He mentions a hadith from he says from ضحاك ibn مزاحم قال انطلق أبو عبيدة فأراه جرا أخضر لعبد الله ibn Mas'ud. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud again, he gets this big container vessel with nabidh in it. And Muhammad says, this is what we take. Nabidh was the intoxicating, a slightly weakly intoxicating drink. How do we know that? This one. So, Muhammad says, Abu Hanifa told me. He goes on through the chain that Umar ibn al-Khattab said, Inna lil muslimina jazuran li ta'amihim. That Muslims have camel for their food, as in for meat. And then he goes on, mentions, and he says, وَأَنَّهُ لَا يَقْطَعْ لُحُومَ هَذِهِ الْإِبِلِ فِي بُطُونِهَا إِلَّا النَّبِيذَ الشَّدِيدِ. The only thing that really settles this meat and digests it is a strong nabidh drink. And he says, وَهُوَ قَوْلُ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. Now you could say, well, this one, no intoxicating. Oh, acha. What's the next one? Yeah. Next one, yaar, El Proximo. Okay, so Muhammad from Abu Hanifa says, Umar radiallahu an, Utiya bi A'rabi, a Bedouin was brought to him, qad sakar, that he was drunk. He was drunk, people. فطلب له عذرا فلما أعياه. So he tried to kind of, basically they tried to justify it, but this person, he'd lost he was out of it, yeah? قال احبسوه. They told him, detain him. فإذا صحى فاجلدوه, and they were going to lash him when he wakes up. Now Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu says, وَدَعَا بِفَضْلَةٍ فَضْلَتْ فِي إِدَاوَتِهِ. He says, bring what he had in his idawa. They would have that drinking pouch. Bring that. Let's see what he's got in there. فَذَاقَهَا. He drank it, he tasted it. He was like, says فَذَاقَهَا فَإِذَا نَبِيذٌ شَدِيدٌ مُمْتَنَعٌ. He says it was a strong, nabidh that he had in what he'd been drinking, what he was drunk from. And he says this is one that, it was difficult. فَدَعَا بِمَاءٍ. So he said, bring some water. فَكَسَرَهُ. Diluted it. وَكَانَ عُمَرْ رضي الله عنه يحب الشراب الشديد. He would love the strong kind of nabidh that had somewhat low levels of alcohol in it. فَشَرِبَ وَسَقَى جُلَسَاءَهُ, and he drank it and he gave it to people around him. قَالَ, he said, اكسروا بالماء إذا غلبكم شيطانه. Umar said, you know, the nabidh you drink, if the devil of it becomes intense, meaning the intoxication is strong, dilute it with water. قَالَ Muhammad, وَبِهِ نَأْخُذ, and that is what we take. وَهُوَ قَوْلُ أَبِي حَنِيفَةَ. And then he goes on, check this out. He's speaking about different kinds of nabidh, made from bittikh, from melon, made from asir. He mentions about how to ferment it and things like this. And then he says, حتى إذا اشتد شربه ولم يرى بذلك بأسا, and وهو قول أبي حنيفة. So he mentions that. So this is nothing to do with medicine. When Abu Hanifa is quoting Umar radiallahu anhu, he's quoting Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and he's quoting Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, and these people having it at food and inviting other people to drink. And in the case of Umar, when the person's got so drunk and then he tastes it and says, whoa, that's too strong, you know what, dilute it with water. This is not medicine. Itni lambi mat phenko. Nah, this one no nice. That is very clear. And this is whose book? Am I bringing this? Maliki is bringing this. No. Shafi'is. No. This is Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Shaybani, the second from the Sahibain, right? So now let's go on. Right, so we've got here
Muskir. So what is the legal status of cannabis?
What is
he states here, he quotes Al-Hawi al-Saghir, أن الحشيشة نجسة إن ثبت أنها مسكرة.
So mind you, who he quotes here about cannabis is, he does say, the person speaking about hashish says that in thabata, if this was established that it is an intoxicant, then it is haram.
That some of them said if it's an intoxication, then if it intoxicates, then it's najis. Some of them said.
I don't know, by the way, why he keeps defining marijuana as an intoxicant. Clearly does not understand the difference between psychoactive substances and between intoxication and intoxicants and depressants. It is by no means an intoxicant like that. It is not an intoxicant in the sense how alcohol is. If you're using it as an intoxicant, it's not defined as an intoxicant. You don't need to be giving it your own definitions. This has already been done. You see, you can just see how it's defined by people, by psychologists and people who work with both the brain and the impact of substances on the brain. They do not define this as an intoxicant.
This THC is haram. It intoxicates, but can the CBD be used medicinally? The answer is yes.
Vah. So people, for medicine, where did my... I just bought my Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Look at that, people. I've lost my vitamin thing. I'll have to go without it. My vape. Where's the... I don't know. I actually had to find that. I had it from such a while. Thinking, where is it? Nope, it's not here. Not there. The jinns have taken it, people. The jinn. Okay, let's move on. But you can have it for medicine.
That would be halal. Someone asks, does it cure or stabilize cancer from a scientific perspective? As far as I know, THC soothes the pain for cancer patients. It does not cure cancer.
I mean, I want to ask a question here. Look, why are you asking Shaykh Asrar questions about, why are you asking him on matters of oncology and cancer? I mean, for God's sake, that's just so stupid, asking, go to a doctor, go to a medical specialist, go to researchers in that field and read what they have to say. I'm not saying it does cure it, but why are you even asking Shaykh Asrar, does weed cure cancer, Shaykh? I mean, how the hell would Shaykh know? Honestly, this cracks me up.
Do not follow these. There is a strong pro-cannabis lobby that campaigns.
Oh, un momento, people. Un momento. Sorry. This one, people. This one, not nice. Now, sorry. Going back.
Does it cure or stabilize cancer from a scientific perspective? As far as I know, THC soothes the pain for cancer patients.
What else, Sheikh?
It does not cure cancer.
What does it do at a quantum level?
There is a strong pro-cannabis lobby that campaigns. You've had George Soros and Hugh Hefner, and notorious individuals funding the pro-cannabis lobby in America. That you do not pray their funeral prayers. And then someone said,
you see, at this stage,
to counter this,
at this stage, what Beloved is doing is he's saying that, well, you should not pray. He's speaking here about drug dealers. And okay, he condemns drug dealers and all of that, which is good. And, that makes sense. And then he says, well, you shouldn't pray their janazah. But then what happens is somebody said to him, well, how come you prayed the janazah for a particular one? So he's then justifying that. But chalo, no problem, Sheikh, no problem, this one.
Said you many years ago attended the funeral prayer of a drug dealer. DMT.
So this is the more interesting part that I was curious about. DMT. DMT.
They say DMT is produced in the mind when.
I think what he wanted to say was in the brain, but chalo, in the mind. Sheikh, in the mind. If you want it, it's in the mind. Don't worry about it, Sheikh. It's in the mind.
DMT, they say DMT is produced in the mind when a person.
Who's they? The 6-year-olds that play in that corner or something. Chalo, okay.
Goes to sleep. And some of them refer to it as the spirit molecule. They say it's a spirit molecule. The pineal gland is contained within the middle.
Can everybody just take a moment and please do that? Out of honor for our beloved. You see, if Sheikh from that side is doing it and me from this side, we can almost make a love heart. Oh, yeah, Sheikh, you know. Sheikh, you do it from that side, I'm doing it from this side. We're making a love heart. Yeah, dosti hum nahi. So, people, pay attention. Yeah, Sheikh is speaking. Pay attention.
Of the brain. This is one of the early works on DMT. You'll find this work online, meaning it's available to purchase. I forgot the name, but DMT, the spirit molecule. Hallucinative drugs. Drugs which give you hallucination. There is no scientific or religious proof to say that when people consume DMT, they are entering the world of the ghaib.
what scientific proof would you get anyway about the ghaib? There's no scientific proof to tell you that you've gone into the ghaib. I mean, what was Shaykh Asrar expecting here? I mean, let's just be honest. Like, what would be that scientific proof anyway? What would it, like, the scientists would say, yep, we can confirm you went there and there happened to be, 15,000 angels that were around you. And I mean, what is the scientific proof about the ghaib? How does that even make any sense? The ghaib is the unseen from a religious perspective. The world which God has kept veiled. So how could science say anything about that anyway? It doesn't. But anyway, let's go back to Sheikh. Sheikh, please to speak. Speak, please.
Equality is attained through Qiyamul Layl.
Right, I think you guys missed this. I gotta explain this to you guys. Look, people, here the question is asked that, Sheikh, if that be so, DMT cannot give you spirituality, let's say. How does one attain spirituality? The Sheikh is now highlighting, don't take DMT. Abe, Sheikh's not saying it like this, but I'm interpreting on behalf of the Sheikh that, look, Abe Salo, don't take DMT. This one destructive, dimethyltryptamine. No DMT. Don't take DMT. What should you do? What should you do, people? This is what you should do.
To say that when people consume DMT, they are entering the world of the ghaib. Equality is attained through Qiyamul Layl.
You should.
Spirituality is attained through Tahajjud, pre-dawn prayer. Equality is attained through Qiyamul Layl. Spirituality is attained through Tahajjud, pre-dawn prayer.
So basically, just to be clear, Sheikh's message is, people, don't try DMT, pray Tahajjud. Please, to behave. This one, both pyari baatein. This is beautiful speech. This one, it's very beautiful, honestly. I'm being serious here, man. Wake up in the night and pray Tahajjud. Yeah, Sheikh. You gotta love it, though. You gotta love the sincerity. Spirituality isn't attained through psilocybin or DMT. Spirituality is attained through Tahajjud. Yeah. Honestly, I can't get over it. But people, the whole point is, we have to remember the whole and keeping in mind the Sheikh is now embarking in a new realm. So we've got this one is dance with chance. People, please behave. On a serious note, people, serious note. Look, I've got a lengthy video explaining both psychedelics, how they are not haram, but how they are things which should be done sensibly. And I've got a detailed video on marijuana. I think I've got more than one clip, but I have a detailed overview in which I do highlight that, look, because of the harm it would cause in especially underage or certain people who are still developing their neural, kind of plasticity, in that sense, there would be a tahrim. It would be haram in the sense of the harm it would cause. But once a person has developed their brain, its neuroplasticity has kind of it's panned out, which is usually around 25. After that, I've said that it's not something Islam encourages. In fact, it doesn't encourage it at all. But it would not be haram if a person was to take marijuana. It would be their own responsibility. It is not. I never said it. Ever said it was a good thing, and I did advocate that people don't do these things. But just because something is not a good thing does not make it haram. Okay. Just as junk food and things like this, in fact, would kill you more easily if you were to binge on junk food. And you can just watch the documentary of the guy who ate just full Mac meals 3 times a day for a month and then went into cardiac arrest. So, and because that's what it would do. Anything in excessive means like that could potentially destroy people. But it doesn't mean that thing is haram. There is a sense of personal liability and responsibility upon the individual in what they do. Obviously, these are issues of legality as well. So that is the understanding. As to DMT, that is definitely not haram. Neither is psilocybin and stuff like that, mushrooms. But these things are issues of legality, but they are portals to connect seriously with consciousness, or what or right translate would be in Arabic the ruh. Okay, in my understanding, but it definitely, in a scientific sense, what he said, there's no scientific proof. There's an abundance of scientific proof. I don't know what he's been looking at. All you have to do is look at the studies of the human brain on hallucinogenics or on this kind of psychoactive substances, whether it's going to be things like even LSD, but psilocybin, especially psilocybin, or mushrooms, or DMT. You have the regions of the brain that are activated are not normally activated, and the level at which the brain waves are operating is a very high, at high kind of hertz. It's usually, there will be certain stages where they may be above 35 hertz to 100, which some people define as gamma, the kind of gamma level. And great breakthroughs happen at these kind of stages of the brain. That is not just attained just like this. You can't just, I'm not saying it's impossible. You could, through years of meditation, attain that as well. But the effect of DMT and psilocybin, maybe years of meditation could mimic it, but I don't think it would be the same. It would be very difficult to be the same. But obviously, what is attained through years of meditation would have a much longer lasting effect as opposed to a quick shortcut. That is unquestionable. Also, the fact that many religious people downplay these things because they feel it downplays religiosity and spirituality. Because if you admit that, yes, this is just a window into that, then all their practice kind of amounts to nothing. So there's a vested interest to kind of speak against these things. The other thing I wanted to say is that, in all honesty, how can, and this is the hypocrisy, how can Shaykh Asrar seriously go live and declare these things to be haram when he publicly, in a live video, drank poison and then said drinking poison was not haram? Drinking poison is categorically haram in Islam. There's no ifs, no buts. And if you can do that publicly, live, in a way to encourage people and irresponsibly encourage young people to do it, just to somehow believe that this is a way to determine the truth, I'm upon the haqq, let me drink poison and prove it to you people, right? If you can do that, and then when questioned about it, say, no, it's not haram if you believe you're going to be okay. This was his response. It's still on his videos. If you check when his interview post poison drinking, he says that he's asked, is it haram? Is it haram? Now, he says it's not haram if you know you're going to be okay. How can you possibly declare poison to be not haram and DMT to be haram? That is just stupid. I mean, poison is ridiculously much more harmful than any of these things, than weed or than, mushrooms or DMT. It's, ridiculously, absurdly more dangerous. So, in fact, the very essence of it is designed to kill. It has no secondary essence. Drinking poison is just either you're going to die or you're going to suffer from internal bleedings or you're going to get lucky. There is no good to come out of this. I mean, it has no function except to harm. I mean, that is the absurdity. So, yeah. So I saw this clip and I thought, well, I have to kind of go over that, share my thoughts. People, I think we got to wrap this up. It's been amazing. Defense not design, super chatted, much love. Shukran for that. Right, yep, I've answered all the others. So, people, you've been shukran for your patience. Some of your questions today, or maybe, you know what, maybe I've just had a long day. I couldn't understand some of the questions you were asking. Maybe that was just me, but I genuinely couldn't. Ratvi Saab just wants to refute everything Mufti says. It is true, he's only doing this DMT thing because, I've done videos saying DMT is not haram. And so, he has to kind of speak on DMT, but he doesn't even know what DMT is, hasn't ever, very uninitiated with the whole thing. And speaking on it, just making it haram. But on matters like poison, like bloody rat poison, I mean, for God's sake, for the love of God, rat poison, publicly consuming rat poison and then justifying it by saying it's not haram if you know you're going to be okay. I mean, I don't know how you'll know that, but if you feel you're going to be okay, it's okay. It's just absurd. It's absurd. Let's do DMT together. We are all those who walk this path.